The X-Men are one of the biggest franchises in all of comic books, certainly one of the flagship teams for Marvel Comics themselves. They're in a bit of a dry spell. We're in the Krakoan era. I think most people pretty much acknowledge at this point it's run its course. It's probably time to reboot. But Marvel Comics X-Men, under Jordan White, the group editor, are not going to do that. They're actually going to double down on all the stuff that has made the Krakoan era bad, mostly just really bad comic book writers and stories that don't fit the characters whatsoever. When I show you what they're doing to Bishop, one of the coolest characters, not only in X-Men history, but Marvel Comics history, you are going to be as unhappy as I am. Just Bishop's such a good character. Why are they doing this? And they're bringing in a whole host of new bad writers that have no place in Marvel Comics, really the comic industry at all. And one name keeps coming up. I kind of highlighted it yesterday in a video that I did. Sarah Brunstad appears to be one of the real issues holding Marvel Comics X-Men back right now. Every time there's an interview with a new creator on Marvel Comics X-Men that you're like, why would they bring that person in? Sarah Brunstad's name actually comes up. This is all coming out of an Adventures in Poor Taste interview with Jordan White. He doesn't talk about one other editor in the entire interview, but he talks about Sarah Brunstad multiple times because I think that is one of the real bad things going on at Marvel Comics right now. There's only one way to put it, folks. Marvel Comics X-Men are absolutely fucked until Jordan White and his cabal of dipshits actually get out of the X-Men office and we can actually get creators who like the characters in the universe. Now let's hear about how Jordan White and his team are doubling down on absolute terrible ideas in Marvel Comics X-Men. First question, Bishop War College has a lot of X fans excited. For this question, I'm pulling straight from the Marvel solicitation. What even is this book? Well, this is what Jordan White said. Sarah Brunstad is editing, and Sarah reached out to Jay Holtham, and he came up with a really bananas story. As you can see from the cover of issue 1, we've got an all-black X-Men team there. And what on earth is going on with that? Well, I can't tell you. You're going to need to read the book. It's a pretty intriguing concept, so I hope you check it out. I imagine a lot of you are asking, who the fuck is Jay Holtham? That is a very good question. He's not a comic book writer. I bet you're really shocked to hear that one. He's written an episode of The Handmaid's Tale. I believe he wrote the Wastelanders podcast for Marvel. He wrote a few episodes of Supergirl. And that's about it. Doesn't really have any comic book writing credits whatsoever. Just a few digital comics here and there for Marvel Comics. But he's on a cool character like Bishop. And we're getting an all-black X-Men team. Wait, could it be that entire X-Men team are versions of Bishop? Oh my goodness, we're going to get a Bishop version of Cyclops and a Bishop version of Wolverine and a Bishop version apparently of Colossus and Beast. We've never seen anything like this before. That's totally bananas. We haven't just seen that in What If Miles Morales was every other character in the Marvel Universe but himself. The Jessica Jones variant story going on right now. I think it's still going on. Spider-Gwen. There's so many different versions of this story, and they're all boring. They're all lame ass, and it's certainly not worthy of a character as cool as Bishop. And to be quite frank, if Jay Holtham and Sarah Brunstad knew anything about Bishop, if they actually liked Marvel Comics X-Men and this character specifically, they would know being black really isn't all that important to Bishop. He's actually from the future, and from where he's from, he was in concentration camps, not because of the color of his skin, but because he was a mutant. That's why he's got the M brand on him and all that stuff. That's why when he came back in time, he found it very difficult to fit in with the X-Men team. There's a lot of cool stuff there. That's one of the reasons people like Bishop, because he was an absolute badass and never put up with nonsense. That's why he feels so out of place in this version of X-Men. They should just get rid of him because it's absolutely destroying the character. And Bishop War College is going to be more of the same. Totally bananas idea, man. What if we made Bishop other heroes in the Marvel Universe? It's the same stories over and over. And it's the same name that you hear over and over again when Marvel Comics go out and reach out and hire somebody that absolutely has no place whatsoever on a franchise as important as the X-Men themselves. I talked about Charlie Jane Anders recently, Danny Lore, Alyssa Wong, and the list really goes on and on. Anybody that has no place writing for the X-Men was hired by Sarah Brunstad. If you need another example, what in your opinion makes the upcoming Rogue and Gambit unique compared to this iconic X couple's past outings? This is what Jordan White said. Editor Sarah Brunstad reached out to Stephanie Phillips to see if she was interested, and she very much was. And they cooked up a real fun story that I think will be an awesome and fun part of the X-line, but also one that is serving a specific purpose that I can't get into yet. I imagine you're also seeing this pattern emerge at Marvel Comics. Whenever Jordan White needs to hire somebody that's just completely incompetent and unworthy of the X-Men line. He emails Sarah Brunstad, and then she goes out and pitches a book to Charlie Jane Anders or Jay Holtham or Stephanie Phillips. And the quality of the writing on the X-Men line just gets worse and worse and worse every single month. Stephanie Phillips has done nothing in her career to warrant any type of opportunity at Marvel or DC these days. We've seen what she's done at DC Comics. Her Harley Quinn series is absolutely atrocious. It's unreadable. Nobody wants to buy the comic book unless you put on a bunch of really cool covers, and then it jumps into the top 70 and then falls out immediately. She also did a particularly atrocious version of Wonder Woman. Shockingly, that one didn't sell either. Yet Marvel Comics and X-Men under Jordan White, with Sarah Brunstad apparently as the front person that's going out and hiring all these bad people, just continuously goes out there and seeks out people that don't like X-Men, that don't like the Marvel Comics universe, that absolutely hate the fans and want to do everything in their power to destroy the characters in the universe. That's just all there is to it. That's why the Krakoan Age of X-Men is an absolute failure. Terrible leadership and really bad talent, just terrible stories left and right. What has you most excited about Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain? I'm a fan of classic Brian Braddock stories. One of the most notable ones is about Betsy being Captain Britain. I wouldn't say 100% she was a woman in a refrigerator in that story, but it's certainly refrigerator adjacent to the extent that it's a story about her failing. Betsy becomes Captain Britain and Brian is retired from it. He's like, fine, I'll just go and hang out with my girlfriend Megan. And a character named Slaymaster comes out and is fighting Betsy Captain Britain, and he pokes her eye out and blinds her. And Brian, upon hearing this, is enraged and tracks Slaymaster down and kills him. So according to the group editor of Marvel Comics X-Men line, Jordan White, if a female hero fails in the Marvel Comics universe, that's pretty much refrigerator adjacent. You might as well have just murdered the character and thrown her in a refrigerator. Absolutely ridiculous. And you can see just the mindset of Jordan White. You can tell just by the way he talks and really by the way he looks with that stupid mustache that he has, that he's one of those dumbass male feminists. And he thinks, oh my goodness, Betsy Braddock, who is not Captain Britain, but was just doing that for that part of the story, she failed in a story? Oh my God. They refrigerated the character, and Brian Braddock, the real Captain Britain, actually had to come back and avenge what happened to her? My goodness, this must be fixed. That's why Captain Britain needs to be Betsy Braddock. We've got to elevate the character by handing her somebody else's mantle. But it's never elevating the character. It's never redemption for a character like Betsy Braddock. When you hand them a mantle they never actually earned. It's a death sentence. It's a prison for the character that they can't get out of until they reset the universe and they realize Betsy Braddock is not Captain Britain. Brian Braddock is. Kind of like what they did with Batman in Nightfall. Azrael was never going to be the true hero of the story. That was just to let you know how amazing Bruce Wayne is as Batman. They did the same thing with Captain Britain. It's a very effective device, but in it, we had a female character lose. Oh my God, she's got to be the real Captain Britain now. I wonder why this is failing so hard under T.D. Howard, another writer that cannot tell a story if her life depended on it. She's gone from an ongoing to a rebooted ongoing to up the sales to a canceled early ongoing to a miniseries. Next thing she'll be doing one-shots, but of course, she's getting opportunities over at DC Comics now. Because once you fail at one of the big two and people realize you're a terrible writer, we got to support the writer and move them over to the other publisher and give them more opportunities and let them kill more characters and sales within the comic book industry, because that's what we need right now. He was then asked about X-23 Deadly Regenesis. Based on the cover and title, should Laura fans expect a series in the past? This is what Jordan White said. We don't want her to go back to being X-23 in the present. She's Wolverine, and she's been through a lot since then, and she's changed a lot since then. So I think it's a totally smart thing to do to say, if we want to explore that kind of story, let's jump back in the past and explore that kind of story so that we don't turn back the clock on her. Every page of comic book that's produced where you try to convince yourself and fans that X-23 is Wolverine is an absolute waste. As I said earlier, this is not redemption for the character. This is not elevating the character, giving her a mantle she's never earned, especially in a universe where Wolverine, the real Wolverine, actually exists. It's a death sentence for the character. It's a reason that the character will never become mainstream. It's a reason that the character will never become A-list, only an afterthought, because she's sitting there saddled with a mantle that readers will never associate with that character. It is a prison, a life sentence if you continue to call Laura X-23 Wolverine. She's not Wolverine. I don't give a fuck what Jason Aaron says. I don't care what Tom Taylor has to say. The fans have spoken. Every time you try to launch an X-23 book and you call it Wolverine, it absolutely fails because the fans don't buy it and they're never going to buy it. You could put Wolverine and encase him in adamantium for 5 years straight and people still won't consider X-23 Wolverine. Don't believe me? It actually happened. And Jordan White should know that better than anybody, but they keep doubling down on all these stupid fucking ideas. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is the last question that he was asked that we're going to cover here. Miss seeing X-Men in casual streetwear clothes and love the costuming in Exterminators #1. Is there potential to see more of that in other books to share the love around? This is what Jordan White said. Exterminators is absolutely a book about people kicking back and relaxing and also going out and having a good time on the town with their friends. So it makes sense that they are dressed casually, but also kind of for show as well. It will happen again, I'm sure. That was a really stupid question, but him talking about Exterminators, and when he explains what it is, it's a comic book about sitting back and relaxing and going out on the town with your friends, lets you know why this comic book never should have been greenlit. It's absolutely stupid. It's just a bunch of bimbos going out there trying to get nailed. Not exactly compelling stuff in the Marvel Comics universe. Could this story work? Absolutely. But they would need to bring in a competent writer, not named Leah Williams, that actually knew the characters and knew how to write an exciting superhero action-based story. You don't get this here. It's absolutely stupid. The jokes aren't very good. Congratulations. You put them in casual outfits and they're just sitting back and relaxing. And you have a comic book that isn't going to sell, and you've wasted yet another opportunity to find an actual writer that X-Men fans are going to like on Leah Williams. You could have put anybody on this book but Leah Williams. You could have had the same sales, but there is the chance that it actually could have been good and drawn in new fans, or maybe gave some people hope that maybe X-Men will be good one day. But it won't be good as long as Jordan White, Sarah Brunstad, and all these morons are there. They double down on stupid ideas constantly. Oh, great, we're going to get Bishop as different versions of heroes in the Marvel Comics universe. Never seen that idea. Oh, great, Sarah Brunstad's bringing in yet another failed writer from DC Comics. That totally worked with Steve Orlando. Look at the sales on Marauders. Oh, great, they're taking Betsy Braddock and Laura X-23 and giving them mantles that they never earned so the characters can sit there and languish and never get over with readers again. Just become complete afterthoughts and put the worst writers period on those characters. It's the same stupid ideas over and over and over. And it's all because of the failed leadership of Jordan White and his terrible editorial staff. Sarah Brunstad isn't the only thing wrong with that editorial staff, but she's the only one that he's talking about by name. I actually did a video breaking down all their editors and all the stupid comments and the fact that none of them actually know anything about X-Men not that long ago. Definitely check this one out if you want more information. I made this video just for you to enlighten you on all the problems in the X-Men editorial staff. If you don't see it here, there's also a link in the video description.